We're on YouTube. We're recording there.
Good.
Michael Coates, welcome, buddy.
Oh, well.
Thanks for your time.
Good to be here, mate.
I know you're a busy man, and I'm for the cluster setting this up. You know, I've not been in the studio before, so it's taking ages. And Dan, the sound guy, was saying that I walked in and he was walking around with a bin bag picking all the rubbish up. They had like a recording session here until 4 a.m. They got to see that.
Yeah.
Jägermeister in the corner and like optics on the side. I don't think it's normally used.
Who was here? Pete Doherty.
Declassified, mate.
Yeah.
Your podcast. I'm gonna get straight into it. I didn't hear about that until, well, it's not been going long, but I think it might have been Brian Wood, MC, tweeted about it on Twitter, and I looked into it and saw the episodes you're doing. I think it's really good. I like that the getting ex-military in. You're a soldier, you're ex-military yourself. You know that when you talk about your experiences with a civilian, or you have to describe it, and for whatever the context may be, on an interview maybe, or like, I don't know, just talking with mates, you talk about it in a very different way to what you would describe it or talk about it to another member of the military, whatever arm they were. I mean, I'm ex-army. If you were ex-navy, I would still be talking in a certain way. It's odd. It's because you got that connection. You're sort of more.
Well, there's a community, and you can't buy your way into that community. You're either in it or you're not in it. And so I understand what you're saying, and having those conversations, especially when it's like this, like one-on-one. There's no external factors kind of influencing it. You can get some really kind of valuable stuff out of it. And for our point of view, it's been real personal. So we do a little bit of prep before. So we have a little conversation with them before just to make sure they're happy with the content. But there's always narratives around it, whether that be, I mean, we've done like covered, so they're all military stories, but they cover something more, the deeper meaning behind it. So we've covered like child abuse. We've covered suicide a couple of times.
As part of that guest's background.
Yeah. So we tried creating, because we didn't know, like you probably experience, I don't know what I'm doing, but I knew I had to do it. I knew I wanted to document these stories.
What do you mean you know what you're doing?
So I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, I didn't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. We had, I'm going all over a bit here, but about 9 months ago, me and Brian Wood sat down just for a coffee. Like, someone put us in touch. We sat down for a coffee off Oxford Street, and we were like, he was like, do you know about my story? And I was like, no, I've not got a clue.
Hang on, how did you meet Brian?
Through a friend. So someone who'd I think he'd done some, my mate had PTSD, and they'd done something together. So he said, you should, I was away with him, this lad, and he said, you should speak to Brian. He's, I know he's kind of close to you. Or works close. So yeah, so I was on LinkedIn with him, so I just sent him a message, said, do you want to meet for a coffee? Like, if you got half an hour. So I went down, told me his story, which is like unreal. And I was like, shit, like we got to document these conversations and these stories, because they might be lost. People might not be forthcoming about coming out and telling their story, especially like the average Joe who lives on a council estate in Hull. Do you know what I mean? Who's done 12 years in, who's done back-to-back Afghans or whatever. Some unbelievable kind of value they're sitting on. And then, that led to, we went to a combat stress kind of function like dinner. And we chance bumped into James O'Brien, who was one of the presenters on LBC.
Okay.
He's got his own opinions about everything, right? But so I don't agree with everything he has to say, but our values align.
You mean as when you've been listening to on LBC?
Exactly.
Okay, got you.
So whether or not you agree with what he's saying, or like anybody really, but our values align. We believe in the same stuff. You know what I mean? And we had a chat with him at this dinner, and then that led to another conversation on Twitter.
Is he quite political? Is he?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Oh, yeah,
I don't listen to much radio.
Yeah. No, he's really political, and he's good values. And that led to a conversation. Then he invited us in to talk about my company really and what we was doing with veteran employment, and then we had a conversation afterwards. So we were talking, it was originally going to be called the Squadron Bar, and very much like this, more relaxed.
The show was going to be called the Squadron Bar.
Yeah, originally. off an iPhone, 2 lapel mics, kind of having a chat. And he said, you need to sort that name out and kind of get a bullet point for the narrative of like the headline. So that's when we said, declassified, because we were wanting to declassify stigmas around mental fitness and well-being and all that kind of stuff.
Wish I thought of it, robbed it off.
Use declassified too.
Declassified better.
Yeah.
More declassified.
Yeah, well, that's 100%. And then, James kind of said like maybe this is how you should do it, and Beth, the producer, was like totally on board. So look, I'll produce it for you, and we'll do a couple of episodes, see how it goes. And then did Brian. Then we did
Brian. The first one, was he?
Brian was the first.
Tell me, Brian. Tell me about Brian in a nutshell. Don't give it all away because people should listen to it on the podcast. But because I read a bit about him. Go on.
One, he's a quality bloke.
Mm-hmm.
One of the nicest blokes you'll come across, and wants to help other people. He Princess of Wales Royal Regiment, won the Military Cross on Untitled Chapter, Iraq in 2000 and what was it? 2004.
Untitled 4.
Yeah, 2004. Wasn't it? 3.
Yeah, well, the end of 2004. Yeah.
Untitled 4 won the Military Cross. Was with all that with Johnson, Buhari, and all that kind of stuff.
Johnson Buhari's PWRR, wasn't he?
Yeah, mate. Woody saved his life.
Oh, really?
So when he got shot in the head, Woody jumped on with another guy and dragged him out, dragged him in the back. So, won the Military Cross, did a lot of other stuff. Ended up being part of the Al Sweeney inquiry, where they got dragged through the courts for mutilation and murder and all that from what he won the Military Cross at the Battle of Danny Boy.
Yeah.
Which was like the first bayonet charge since the Falklands and all this kind of stuff. And so, and that was, and he suffered from PTSD and all that. And it was just basically about that's his story really. And now he's doing some good stuff in working with people, and he's got his book coming out and all the rest of it. But an example of, so no one talks about post-traumatic growth before.
Post-traumatic growth? Post-traumatic growth?
Yeah. So you're going to resonate now. So how have you become stronger? And how have you developed? How have you become more well-rounded, more accepting of others because of conflict?
Rolling my eyes there. No, go on, I'm not rolling my eyes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How are you better because of the experiences you've kind of witnessed?
Yeah.
It's not always about the stress.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you get better?
How has it benefited you?
Yeah, how's it benefit? Post-conflict growth as well. So
yeah, it's a good point actually, because it's a negatives from post-traumatic negatives and post-traumatic positives, I suppose, which is the growth. Okay, yeah, go on.
So the first guy, so you look at prosthetics. So there's kids walking around now, young kids walking and running because of Afghanistan. So the medical advances in prosthetics because of conflict are now impacting people who've never experienced it. So that's, for me, that's post-conflict growth, how we've got better. And these kids are running around. I had a conversation with someone the other week. His nephew was one of those people who's now got a blade, and it was Joe Townsend. He sent him a message and all this kind of stuff saying, you can do it, kind of thing. Because he was getting bullied at school, and they put it up on the assembly.
What? Because he had one leg.
He had one leg, yeah.
Kids are fuckers, aren't they?
Yeah.
People are fuckers.
Yeah.
Kids.
But now he's cool as fuck because he's got this blade on. He's running about, 9 years old. So that for me is post-conflict, and then post-trauma growth. You might have it. Like other guys, will have it. Like Woody, like he wants to tell his story about PTSD and how that's affected him and his home life. That's post-traumatic growth, where you can take and take the value away and then use it. It's really interesting. And actually, the guy on episode 4, a real nice bloke called Dr. Walter Bouzatiel. He's like the head guy for the medical services at Combat Stress, psychiatrist, world leading in trauma psychiatry. Was in the RAF for 16 years. Was part of the rehabilitation of all the Beirut hostages like Terry Waite and whatnot. Then spent 10 years rehabilitating the survivors of child sex abuse. Then went into veteran PTSD, trauma, therapy and counselling. And he was the one that introduced me initially to post-traumatic growth. and the benefits of it.
So did he coin that term? Did he?
No, I don't think so. I think it's been around for a while. So I'm not 100% who but there's been papers done on it. But it's like the language, isn't it? You know, like whether we like it or not, mental health has a slight negative connotation around it. You know, when someone says mental health, like it's bad. But actually, I think it's down to people like us to go, well, how can we benefit from trauma? How can we, how are these stories going to help other people and add loads of value to other people? And also talk about mental well-being and mental fitness and mental resilience. You know, you know yourself, like the stuff you've gone through is you have to be resilient to go through it.
Yeah.
So how are these stories going to impact a kid in his bedroom who's been bullied at school, or an adult survivor of sexual abuse, or someone who's suffering from post-traumatic stress from a car crash? You know what I mean? Like, so our community is full of value and full of these unbelievable stories that, if used right, can massively positively impact people. And you'll have stories that will do that 100%. And I've heard them on this podcast.
I make them all up. It's all made up.
That's what they
So when you get the guests on, I've listened to most of a couple of them. Oh yeah, I've listened to them all.
Yeah.
Same as fucking people, one or two of this. It's more a time thing than anything. Yeah. But I find them really interesting in that they're very focused on the military aspect, and it's sort of a corridor of conversation where all revolves around the same thing, like you're saying, around mental fitness, mental health, mental fitness. I love that term. I'd forgotten about that term until I heard it on your podcast. Mental fitness. Again, it's a way of, you know, there's little ways of describing the same state, but describing it a different way gives you a different perception on it. So you got mental health. When you say mental fitness, you talk about the same thing. But mental fitness is so much more a positive term. You know, you want to improve your mental fitness. Well, I'm in therapy to improve my mental health. I'm in therapy to improve my mental fitness. Say the same sentence to different people are going to take it to. Oh, okay. It's like it's almost like self-improvement.
Well, then that's it. You can, and that's it. You know, like yourself, you don't go in the gym for 6 months. You go back, you're not fit. If you don't work on your mental fitness 6 months, you're not going to be mentally fit. Down to things like, so I run a small business. If I'm not self-disciplined, and the last kind of couple of months, I've probably not been as self-disciplined as I would have liked, and now I'm getting back into it, getting back into the rhythm of it. Everything goes down, and then you start becoming like, can't be arsed with stuff. You start becoming lethargic. Your drive kind of falls down a little bit. But if you work on things and external factors like getting enough sleep, not drinking too much alcohol, getting the right amount of exercise in, getting the right time with the kids and the family or your friends, and just becoming more well-rounded and more self-aware about what you should and shouldn't be doing and how that impacts you. So if at the end of the week you're feeling tired and not great, you know what it's like. You might have had a couple of late nights and a few beers where you know, I don't know, after work or whatever. No exercise. By Friday you feel like shit. So that's mental fitness, isn't it? That's how I perceive that as mental fitness, like keeping on top of it almost on a daily and a weekly basis. And then when you recognizing it when you need to jump back on and get back on the treadmill, so to speak.
I don't think there's far too few people are aware of, are conscious of the how big an impact the little things can make, like you're saying, like trying to, like a relationship with, you know, a loved one, and you think, well, yeah, we go and do something, we go and spend some time together, and do this, do that, the other, and that actually, which is sort of normal, as opposed to sitting down and again, I'm talking about little things, sitting down and going, bang, right, on this date, we're going to put aside an hour and a half or 2 hours every, and I'm talking like, I'm just hour and a half, 2 hours every week or every fortnight, where we'll just you and me will sit there and play a fucking board game or something. or we'll go for a walk. You know, it's something that we wouldn't normally do, but it's that when you assign it, then you've consciously sort of you've planned it.
Yeah,
and
you put a system in place to, you know.
And you
like
might
that.
manage that every fortnight, every few weeks anyway. But you, like you're saying, you put the system in place. You know it's going to happen, so it increases. It's like it's a positive impact on you because you know it's going to be planned in. It's all set. And the same can be said for work. Again, that planning kind of thing for me is huge. And you mentioned just now about what did you mention just now about not organization?
Yeah, just not being
self-discipline. You talk about self-discipline. I've been terrible at it for a multitude of factors. You know, a multitude of reasons, and or like you're saying, a holistic thing. Everything affects everything else. And my self-discipline has been terrible. I just spread myself too thin, and I end up with a million different projects, and I sort of gain a millimeter of ground every couple of days on each one.
But what is that self-discipline? Because if you got, let's say you got 5 projects on the go, right? So you've got 5 projects. I said projects. Someone pick me up for that.
You say project then?
Project. I've got all landing. So you got 5 on the go, and it might be like the podcast is one, sorting your family trip out, a family holiday out is another, boom, 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 5. And if you just do one thing on each of them every day, that's kind of sweeping the water towards the drain, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like you're brushing in the right direction. So if you just do one thing, that for me is self-discipline, pushing it every day to get to the end project.
My mental state, my mental fitness is such that because my concentration is my concentration span, depending on what I'm doing, funny enough, is very, very, very low. Concentration span, it's like, Jesus, I can't keep focusing on something for more than, we're talking minutes. Not even that. I can walk from one room to the next to go and make a brew or go do something. And I've detoured in a different room to go and do something. And that's the way it is. And again, it's a lack of planning and lack of self-discipline is part of it. But it's something that that's my mental state is. And I'm just going around the houses here. Going back, you're talking about post-traumatic growth. And I was in a course of therapy not long ago, and my attitude has always been up to that point was I was this person. This is how I operated mentally. And I like that. I'm awesome mentally, really, really good in a number of ways. And like focus and
in a stressful situation and all that kind of stuff.
All sorts. Very rigid planning, attention to detail. And it was that's who I was. I got to get back. That's who why am I not that? I've got to be that. And that's what my attitude always was. And it was in one of the last sessions with the therapist, and he said, "Have you considered that? That was you. Now you are who you are now. Talking. That's you now. That's you now, and that's who you are. You can't change it. That's who you are." And I hadn't thought that way before. I just thought I am sort of mentally deficient. Really, I'm not in my head. I'm not as good as what I was. And when he said that, I thought actually it's different. I'm just different than what I was. I'm different than what I was. And as soon as he said it, I said to him, a light bulb went on my head. I hadn't thought about that. And straight away, my perception changed then. It was no longer about trying to fix things, really, at that point. It was, is he right? How do I, instead of trying to operate in life the way I was based on what my mental state was then, operate in life the way my mental state is now.
So that's all about self-awareness.
Yeah, and I'm lucky. I'm very, very self-aware. I'm very lucky in that regard, and the majority of people aren't, and I wish they were more because it helps. But yeah, self-awareness, and straight away it's like that epiphany. I thought it improved things. I just improved the way I was looking at how I was.
Do you get down about the stuff you're not good at, or do you just get someone else to do the stuff you're not good at?
I do everything, mate. I don't get it.
Yeah. So what do you mean?
I can't. No, what do you mean?
Let's say you're running a business and you got the accounts. Right. For me, what is the point of me trying to do the accounts? Like, there's no point because I'm rubbish at it. Like, I'll get software, I get an accountant to do the accounts because I'm self-aware that I'm shit at the accounts. Do you know what I mean? And then why would I do graphic design when for 30 quid an hour and get a graphic designer to do it? I'm self-aware that I'm not very good at that. So I can not make more money, but I'm better use somewhere else than I am there. That's where my self-awareness is.
I look at it opposite, completely opposite. My first port of call is to learn how to do something myself, see if I can do it. And again, to my detriment sometimes, see if I can do it rather than someone else, because if I can do it, why should I get someone else? Now, there's various problems with that. Various problems. One, it's like time. Like accounts, for example. Accounts, yes, that is the one thing at the minute that I outsource, because, again, that planning and self-discipline at the moment, I will miss the boat on like deadlines submitting to H+17. I already have once. Like, you get a fine. It's like, oh God, you can't afford to do it.
Yeah.
You can't afford to do it. So I palm that off. But like graphic design is an interesting one. I can't remember what I was doing this a few years back. It was a few years back. I had time. I was working in Iraq and I had time. I was private, when I was a city. And I tell you what it was. It was designing a logo for the company. And I downloaded a private copy of Photoshop. And I sat and taught myself. I say taught myself online, YouTube. If I want to, I go and find out how to do it. And I'm pretty fucking good at Photoshop now. Do you know what I mean?
You do anything for this? This face.
It's a plastic surgeon now.
There's some things you can't do. But for me, so like busy family, young family, busy business. I just think, what's the point of me?
And you're making sensible decisions. I don't make more sensible decisions all the time. You're right, and it's time. It's time. It's like I can do the mixing of this podcast. I can do that because when I started the podcast, I thought I mix this myself. Fuck the studio. Pardon the language. I'm doing it because I should be able to do this. And I downloaded Audacity, which is an awesome, which is a brilliant program. Showed me how to mix it in. Brilliant. But sound quality was an issue. I wanted to improve the sound quality. And plus, time. It was the time it was taking me. I had a crap laptop at the time as well. So now it's like, well, I'm in the studio, get sound engineer. Let's do that anyway. Let's do that. Because it might as well use them. Yeah, I know. And it's
that is just, it's knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are. Like for me, like talk about sound and edit. Just never even bothered.
That's a pain in the arse.
Yeah, just was like,
breaks me.
The point. I'm rubbish at this. Someone who's really good there, I'll just get them to do it, and I'll try getting it done for free.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like in this sense.
Yeah.
And and it saves us time. And I've got a team now. Like, so me and Des on the company, and then we've got some guys around us and girls that.
Tell me about which company you're talking about.
So we founded Combat Pest Control. So we deal with rats and mice and bed bugs and all that. Well, our team are either military veterans.
All your team are veterans.
Yeah, so all the guys on the ground are military veterans, and we've got an exec assistant who's married to a serving army officer. So everyone's part of the military community that's employed. Yeah, and every job we do, so we go to a domestic job, we educate a street child in Afghanistan, and then all our commercial work clears landmines around the world.
Go back, say that again.
So every time we go, like if I come to your house to do a wasp nest, you will, part of that revenue, will provide a day's education to a street child in Afghanistan.
So you donate kind of thing?
Yeah.
Is that the way it is? Is that what it is?
Well, we never had a company. I was in the fire service. Des was doing private security on the boats and whatnot. And one of our mates started suffering from PTSD but bad, like shit the bed bad. You know what I mean? And we were like, we need to do something. So I had a little van. I was doing a bit of pest control, and so let's just set a company up, give 10% of our profit away.
You were working somewhere else?
No, I was just like like a fire service, you have a second job.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
essentially I was just doing a bit of work for some of the lads and all that. And so let's set a company up, give 10% of our profit away, to like combat stress or whatever. And then, we're making a little bit of an impact. And then when we sat down and said, what do we want to achieve through business? Because business is often perceived as like a devil, you know what I mean? Like it's force for bad. And we were like, well, how can we create business for a force for good? So we said, what do we want to do? Employ veterans, reservists, spouses, partners. We want to educate and assist children in conflict. We want to protect our customer, because all of our guys have always protected people, whether it's prison, fire, police, after the military stuff. But all the guys have been in the military, protecting. And then we want to support our injured service personnel. So they're the 4 things we kind of live off. So our decision making is based on them 4 things. So whether it's like running a ultra marathon, or one of the guys running an ultra marathon, or doing the podcast, because that's why we did it. The podcast is all about supporting injured service personnel, and now in turn that's led to supporting other people because of the community. So that's why did we get onto the business thing?
I asked you about business because you were saying, you said you had no, you were saying that you had no.
Oh, that was it. It was having people around me.
Oh, right,
yeah. So that community around me with the team now enables me to be sat here. Like I've just come from doing a podcast this morning, so they appreciate that I'm still working, although it's sat here and not out sorting bed bugs out. But we're not a pest control company. That's what we do. But we're a veteran-owned, operated company. We provide education and assistance to children in conflict, and we support our injured.
What's it called?
Like the company?
Yeah.
Combat Pest Control.
Oh, sorry. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
And yes, all the commercial works. If we do a cafe in Chiswick or whatever, we provide 30 square meters of minefield clearance. So we have a partner with an organisation called the Popo, who train African pouch rats to go into
African pouch rats.
Yeah, these big things, like big things,
like 2 foot.
That big, yeah,
2
big,
2 foot,
big old thing.
Yeah. Why are they called pouch rats?
Got a big pouch.
Well,
yeah,
like a kangaroo.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Go on. What do they do?
And then they train them. They go into minefields.
Yeah.
And they find the ordnance, but they're too light to detonate. So they go in, scratch at the surface. The handler comes in, marks it, and then gets rid of them.
A rat.
Yeah, mate.
How do they? That's awesome.
Yeah,
How do they get into that?
There's a doc. I'll send you the link. There's like a 10-minute, 15-minute documentary about them, and it all starts from being tiny, and where they scratch at the service, and the handler will be watching, and he clicks and gives them a treat just for scratching.
Oh,
and it's like training a dog, and then they build them up and build them up and build them up until they're getting ordnance and all the kind of stuff affiliated with mines, really. But they do like 50% of all landmine injuries are kids. I was in the Royal Engineers. Des was in the Royal Engineers. We're both on.
You're engineers, we are.
Yeah.
I didn't realise. Okay.
Yeah.
Why did I think you were 2'9"?
Don't know.
No, you're not 2'9". My next guess is 2'9". Sorry. Engineers, right? Yeah. I didn't realise that. Okay, I got you. Yeah. Were you a firefighter before that or after?
No, I joined at 16. So I joined as an apprentice at 16, straight from, it's like just escaped Hull, basically.
I was going to ask you from Hull. Yeah. Right, you need to escape that place.
And like loads of people, I'm sure you might have a similar story, but you definitely know people. You just want to escape and go do something bigger than staying as a mechanic or working in a shop. And I've always wanted to do it. And joined at 16. My brother was in, so he did 20 years in. I got redundant. Took redundancy a few years ago. So he was in the engineers. So I kind of followed in his footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
Did 6 years in, did Telic and then Telic 3. And I was just like disillusioned with it.
What were you doing in the engineers? What was your job?
So I was in a field troop. So Telic, we did explosives. So when we went, was you on Telic?
Yeah.
So when we crossed the border and went through, all you lot pushed through into Basra and all the rest of it. But there was so much left behind, all the Russian tanks and all the rockets and stuff. We just got left behind and we just getting rid of them all. Basically blowing them up.
Yeah.
And then once you lot did the business, and went into that peacekeeping kind of phase. We then started construction. So then we built that big tented camp in Shiber Air Base.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I sorry to interrupt. I thought that engineers. I mean, again, fucking ignorance. You were specialised in the roles. If you were like in demolitions, no, you sort of multi.
Yeah, you just do everything. Yeah.
Didn't know.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
So a field troop. Although it's like amphibious, so the amphibious lads will just do that.
Yeah.
The armoured lads will do that. But as a field troop, we did loads of explosive stuff. But like lads were going out building bridges, especially Telic 3, they did a massive one. Built prisoner war camp right at the start. One of our troops did that when they first crossed. I think it was with the Duke of Wellington's, and they built a big prisoner war camp.
Duke of Wellington's.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
What regiment?
Yeah.
Nah. What year was this?
2003.
Duke of Wellington's? Man, I think you just made that up.
Have I? It's a Yorkshire regiment.
Is it? I hope not, because if it exists and I've never heard of it, they're hating me right now. I've just lost a whole bunch of listeners.
Let me have a look.
Duke of Wellington's. Maybe a battalion. Duke of...
I've been doing this now. I'll get called out.
Is that?
I'll get called out.
While you're looking, your t-shirt makes sense now. Your engineers, Hesco t-shirt.
Exactly.
I like that, mate. He's dead, isn't he?
Yeah.
I met him before he popped his clogs. We were I was on a DEMS course in I can't remember where it was, and he had the new
Duke of Wellington's.
What?
West Riding, 1702 to 2006.
Oh, sorry, Duke of Wellington's. Did they change name or did they just cease to exist? Did they get amalgamated?
They went into the Kings, I think. King's Division.
Right, okay.
Forming part of the King. Anyway. Edit that. The most boring is 2 minutes of these episodes so far. They did loads of stuff. Anyway, demolitions, construction.
Yeah. On
the water. So Telic 3, some of our lads with boat troop who were supporting special forces and doing the patrols on the river there. So loads of stuff. And then you got 9 Squadron who would be with you and they'd do all that kind of stuff. Where were we going? Can't remember.
We were talking about Iraq. We were talking about Iraq.
Oh, my career.
Yeah.
And did Telic 1 to Telic 3. Just became disenfranchised, just was not getting what we were doing. Sick of being in a 4-man room in Germany.
Is that where you were based?
Yeah, I was in Paderborn, yeah. I was in 3-5.
I never went there. Any
Germany?
Yeah, never went. I've been to Germany, obviously, visit. I never went there to any
you know what?
places.
It was really good.
I've heard that, yeah.
3-5 was really good. Like real family.
3-5.
Engineer regiment.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, really good. Everyone was close. Everyone because everyone stays, they don't go home on weekends. Good social life, good rugby. Really nothing but good stuff really about, being in Germany and being part of it. But yeah, just fed up with it. Loads of lads was at the same time as that. Loads of lads was like...
With life or with Iraq or what?
Just with the military. I think the communication from higher was poor. So going backwards and forwards to places like Iraq at that time, just to me felt like pointless.
Do you think that now?
No. Now looking back. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, now looking back.
No, totally grateful that I had the experience.
What about my stomach's rumbling? I hope we can't be in the mic. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
I've got brownies in the bag, mate.
I'm right for now.
So looking back on it, was Telic beneficial for Iraq?
All I know, right,
go on,
is when we were on Telic 3, people never had electricity and running water, and then obviously Telic 4s and 5s, loads of people started dying. You might have a different take of it.
What do you mean?
Like the civilian population, lots of death.
Right, explain that. Go on.
You read Tony Blair's autobiography?
No.
Yeah, it's just nonsense. I don't want to get too political with this one.
No, it's
but
fine.
I don't. And this is what I'm talking. You know, like the communication from higher.
Yeah.
I don't think it reached the bottom, especially us. What was going on there? Like, how was life getting better?
Yeah.
And that's why I became, because I've always been about purpose and meaning from being a kid, really, and wanting to help people. And that's probably why I joined the fire service and why I set the company up. And I didn't feel like we were doing anything except looking after ourselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was from mainly because it was maybe the tasks I was on were all kind of centric around supporting ourselves. I don't know. What do you think?
I was thinking there. I was trying, while you were talking there, I was listening.
Yeah.
I was thinking what I thought we were doing when we did the Telic 1, the Telic 1 and Telic 8, maybe Telic 4. I don't know. I went in 2003 for the war, and then went in 2005, when the year before the Afghan tour. And I was trying to think in that 2005 tour. Jesus, you hear that then? My stomach pain. In that 2005 tour, what if I could remember what I thought we were doing there? My main recollection of that 2005 was the discovery of internet dating sites. I can't remember much else. What were we there for? What were we doing? I'm trying to think of the specific tasks. I know we were going patrol along the Iranian border and visit Iraqi police checkpoints, and we check their weapons and serial numbers, and like engage with them, as in just help them out and everything right and blah blah blah. But why were we there?
No one's ever asked me that question.
The thing is, I don't believe that operation should have happened. I don't think it should.
I don't think.
That is not to say that I don't think good came from it. A lot of bad came from it, but I think good came from it as well. But the state of Iraq now, compared to before, and when I say state, I'm just talking in general, like the way of life, the standard of living, the how content the people are, and you're never going to achieve in those Middle Eastern regions or anything less than the first world region, right? The third world, really. You're not going to achieve the standards that you have in the West, which wrongly is what the operations are described as aspiring to do. I mean, Afghanistan, bringing a democratic, government that has got better, communication and more connected people. It's not going to fucking happen. Sorry, it's not going to happen. The same as it's not going to happen in Iraq because they're a completely different culture. They may as well be another species. And I don't mean that in a detrimental way. I mean that they're so different to us, in the same way that Eskimos are so different to Americans, and Chinese.
It's culture, isn't it?
It's
culture.
Absolutely.
And up until, let's just say 100 years, no, let's say less, let's say 50 years ago, travel was stunted. You couldn't go and impact different cultures. Like, I know there's been wars and stuff, but you know what I'm saying? Like now, travel, I could go to Heathrow now and go anywhere in the world. You know what I mean? And so we've never had the impact on different cultures like we've had right now. So when we go to places and we look at another culture and then try and form it into something like what you just mentioned then about being democratic and not when actually they come from tribal and it's not detrimental, it's just the fact. I don't know, I'm not going to comment too much on Afghan because I don't know, but I'm interested. It's interesting what you just said then. Do you feel like it was different from Iraq to Afghan because you did both? Do you feel like the purpose was different while we were there? Like, do you feel like one was outweighed the other?
In why?
Is in a military sense, as you as a bloke on the ground, did you feel like it was more? There was more meaning of you being in Iraq or Afghanistan?
Ooh. Well, you don't think about it at the time. I didn't. I didn't. I think I was. I'll answer the question for I think now, but going back, I thought about this in the past. I've been at when when the Afghan tours are going on, sort of in between. I have that question sometimes. Should we be, especially after the second one, as time went on and more people get killed, should we be there? And you sort of query it sometimes. I would query it sometimes, and the answer I would get queried it. Sorry, should we be there? All that usual stuff, and I'd never addressed it. Iraq, I'd never addressed should we be there or not. Northern Ireland, I'd never addressed should we be there or not. Afghanistan, I never addressed should we be there or not. And then the question came, right, but why don't I address it? And it's because I think that one, you're in that career. It's a fucking career. You're doing what you're told. Yeah, within reason. The same as in any job.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're doing what you're told, right? As soon as I think that's morally or ethically wrong, and then sorry, I might be questioning you, but I was very fortunate to never have that situation. That's not to say everyone else didn't. I had very good commanders and I had very good bloke below me. But as soon as you start to question it, if you question it, then all of a sudden if your mind sort of strays from the task at hand, the mission, to should we even be here, then your ability as a soldier or commando or whatever you're doing, whatever your role is, your ability to make sound judgment in stressful situations or not becomes less able, I think. Going after, think about it now with that question.
Yeah, that's where I want to be at there. Where what's happening now, looking back.
Do I think that one was more worth than the other, kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think that one had more promise in it than the other, and was more beneficial to this day, and that's Iraq over Afghanistan. My phone's going on. Yeah, I think Iraq had more promise in it because smaller country. We'd removed the government. So it's almost like a clean slate, All of the allies involved in that situation were very much aligned. There were a lot of assets. Look how many troops the Americans had in there. The only place we fell short was... Now, this is not to say the reason we're in there is the right reason. The reason we were in there, if I remember...
asking, I think
go on.
Is like, what do you think?
What do I think? What?
That was the question. It was not like, what's the overall political state of it or whatever. It was like you as a bloke on the ground. And I think you've answered the question really well. Like, one was, we had a better chance of doing something positive in one than the other.
Yeah.
Do you resent any of them? Like,
no.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't resent them. None at all. I think that I think for almost every operation that's ever happened with a first world country, America, US, the reasons that is shoved down the public's throats for going on to those is almost always false. It's not the reason. The reason is almost entirely, almost always a power thing, be that financial power, political power, military power, or influence. Definitely the case with Iraq, definitely the case with Afghanistan, definitely the case with Libya, definitely the case with Vietnam, definitely the case with Korea. We didn't go in Iraq because Saddam Hussein was a bastard. We want to get him out. If that's the reason you go into countries, because there's oppression going on, you want to get rid of leaders. Oh, he's a bad guy and people are oppressed. There are about fucking 100 countries in this world, and probably 70 or 80 of those. In fact, more. Look at Africa. Almost all of Africa. Almost all of Africa. Those little countries. You know how easy it would be to go and get rid of some horrible dictator, throw him out, and turn that country around probably in months in some of them. We don't do it. Why not? Why don't you do it? Because politically, it has no benefit. Geographically, strategically, from a military point of view, it has no benefit. Financially, it has no benefit. Those countries have no assets in any way, shape, or form. So why are we going to throw and this is not me saying it's right or wrong, this is the fucking case. Why is the UK government, the US government, or any government going to go, let's go into, I don't know, Togo. Togo's a bad example, but let's say Togo's our drama. Well, let's go to Togo and get rid of that dictator and turn that place around. It's tiny. They got hardly any people. We can probably do it in about a year. Probably won't even lose any troops. Just chuck some money in it. No. Why? The people are oppressed. We can improve their lives. No. Why? Why isn't it even entertained? There's no benefit to be had apart from improving people's lives. There's no benefit to be had. Even when you look at like a war, the Iraq War, how much money has been made afterwards? How much money has been made afterwards? The millions and millions and trillions of pounds of ongoing reconstruction, this, that, the other. The drama still now. ISIS. Look at Syria. Do you know what they're saying? The amount of money it's going to cost to rebuild it, well, fucking surprise. Surprise. Not only has it gone from strategically important area of the world, Syria, borders with Iran, borders with Iraq, borders with Turkey, borders with Lebanon. It's critical with the power struggle that's going on over there at the minute. Not only that, so it's a benefit for us to get a foothold in there. I'll stop other people getting a foothold in there, like the Russians. Yeah. But in terms of the money it generates after.
There's a long game in it, and these conflicts, and you bring it down to its kind of bare bones of it.
Yeah.
Young blokes seeking adventure get pushed into places like you and me and all the rest of the guys and girls that are listening. And then who, from my side of things looking in, who are the people that benefit least or are adversely affected? Children in conflict, like hammered, like what is our children in these conflict areas benefited? No, like I don't think so. Looking in, and maybe pockets, but I'm not, and that's why we're so passionate as a company about, because we spoke to a lot of people about this, before we've started actually giving cash, essentially, especially to kids in Afghanistan, and about all the stuff around kind of Thursdays out there and that systematic rape that happens with young boys and the,
where is this? Middle East.
Afghan, Afghan specific, and that's why for us, like kind of small. Can the military community that went out there then have a positive impact? Every one of us, like as a small business or an individual, can we impact? That's why I see it. Like I think being a dad as well changes things, and the way you look at especially kids and advantages and opportunity. And all my kids have got to do when they walk out into the garden is dodge a dog poo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's kids in Afghan and wherever else in the world that have to dodge landmines to go to school, or maybe even if they get a chance to go to school. And gone ranting there, mate.
No, it's fine. It's an interesting question. I mean, there's no way I'm looking at. Oh God, you can go around the houses with it, and look at it in a million different perspectives and find positive, negatives in them all. Sorry, I'm not being rude. I think the next guest might be lost. I described it the other day as, look, was it I think I was asked, was it a good thing you're going in now in Afghanistan or not? Did you have a positive impact? Well, look, let's take the life of a kid. Take the life of a kid, right? And the kid, Afghan, what's going to live to be about 50 odd? Yeah, probably life expectancy mid-50s, late 50s. I think now I might be wrong there, but thereabouts. Over the course of their life, probably, I say they're in Helmand or in some, in some other remote, like agricultural province, but they're not, in the city or anything like that. And over the course of their life, they're almost entirely going to be under the Taliban regime. They don't know any different. It ain't that bad. It isn't that bad. right? It isn't that bad to be under them. It's not that bad. You Sharia law, yeah, you pay your fine. You just to pay you're paying someone else money instead of paying taxes, right? Yeah, you're paying the Taliban whatever the money is for them being in there and help them keeping you secure and keeping thieves away. They do all sorts, right? They're complete bastards as well, right? Like the education and the way they oppress women and all the rest of it, right? Now, over the course of that life, that may be the case. But we know about the education side. We talk about the education side with girls. Now, let's say, well, we went into Afghan and we did a 6-month tour on one of them, you know, and we went, let's say we went in a village for a couple of weeks, or even 4 or 5 days. No, let's say a couple of weeks, right? Enough time so that we had a Team Pink, which you call them a PNK. They were like a outreach team who were going to deal with the education and all that, right? So they were going to speak to schools and try and get things up and running and improve life for education and other aspects. So for that 2 weeks we were there, maybe the children had a school set up, or was it able to open back up for a bit? And we had aspirations that, you know, put things in place so that school could carry on, and they had a bit of education. And then we left, and 6 months later left, and then the British forces left in 2000 and whatever it was, 15 or whatever it was, 16. And they went back to us under the Taliban. But for that short period of time, be it a couple of weeks or months, or could even be a couple of years if there was British there, or forces in all the time, not just British, and that education could go on, then the life of that child was improved for that time. Okay? It didn't get worse, it improved. So over that 50-odd year span of their life, it improved. They probably had access to like decent water. They probably had access to like the basic stuff for school
for that short period of time. Yeah.
Which means on average their life, okay, on average is that little bit higher quality across the board of it than it would have been if we weren't there. That's how. It's not what justifies. That's how I look at it.
No, but there's let's say there's 100%, and that's 2%, but that's good enough, isn't it? Like that's 2%. That's good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's where the positive. Where can we draw the positives out of it? And now, as business, where can we draw the positives out of it? Like now.
I mean, there's other things to look at. I'm just looking at the positive. There's other things to look at. Like, I mean, go back to Iraq. You know, with your experience there, place is fucking trashed, mate. There's areas of that place that were fucking destroyed because we were there. Destroyed because we were there.
Yeah.
Their lives, the people who lived in those areas, if they're still alive, right? If they're still alive, are completely worse off than before you were there. You know, I mean, there's two sides to it. It's
which is my point, and actually going round about it, and we've talked, and I'm really interested in your side of that then, because you've experienced one a lot more than me, especially with the Afghan thing, and then with the private kind of sector as well, and you talking about like dictatorships and people living under them. Is it that bad? I don't know. Then you come in for a brief period of time and then move out. What's bad though?
What's bad though, Michael?
Yeah.
What's bad, right? Look at this. Look at the pygmies. Look at the pygmies, right, in the Congo where the pygmies live. Oh yeah, like the tribes never been touched by any civilization.
Yeah.
I've never had any. There's a name for them. Never had any connection with any other civilization apart from themselves. Right? They flip and chop wood all day. They blow pipes into monkeys so they can eat them, and that's it. And they go to sleep. That's it. And they do little dances around the fire, right? Do you think they think they're worse off?
No, and I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
No, I know you're not.
Yeah,
I know. So when you go to the dictatorship, it's like, well, it ain't that bad. They don't know any better. Yeah. And if they're in a village, right, being run by Saddam, if they're in a village in Iraq, right, and they're being run by the dictator Saddam Hussein, who sits in Baghdad on his Iron Throne, they probably don't even got a clue about it. They haven't got a clue, and it's even more so for Afghan. Do you think a village elder or a farmer, right, in the depths of Helmand, gives a flying fish about who is the Prime Minister in Kabul? Do you think they even know there's a flipping government? Half the time, no. When we went in there, right, I remember when we went in on that first tour, there was 2 separate villages we went into, a tour around, and 2 of them, English speakers, two people, separate villages, separate times, separate patrols, asked if we were Russian. Yeah. Are you Russian? No. Honestly, because English. Yeah. Are you Russian? No. No, I haven't got a clue. And that was like, it wasn't a village, it was a town. The town. Oh, no, not. They've not got a clue. So Who cares what government's in place in Kabul? Who cares? Their lives are it's the same quality almost.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to improve, like you've talked about, infrastructure, electricity, water, and all the rest of it. Basra, to this day, still has only 12 hours of power a day. 12 hours, right? The oil fields in southern Iraq. Okay, listen to this, right? So bear in mind, that's Basra. 12 hours a day they got power for. The oil fields in southern Iraq, right? You've seen the icon. Well, you've seen for real the iconic flames, right? They're burning off gas, excess gas, right? I don't know if you know this. In the oil, when you drill into an oil field, okay, there's byproduct. Yeah, one of the byproducts is gas. Okay, so there's a name for it. I can't remember the name of the gas, right? In the worst oil fields, okay, that byproduct gas can't be used for anything. It literally just fucking burn it off into the atmosphere. Yeah. In the best oil fields, the highest quality oil fields, that byproduct gas, hypothetically speaking, you could pipe it straight into a house, straight into your cooker, and be used directly for cooking. No processing needed, directly for cooking on a gas stove, right? All of the oil fields in southern Iraq are the highest quality. Okay? Which means all of those flames are burning off the highest quality gas, which you could pump into a house, right? And use it. They're burning it off. They burn enough of that gas off in one day in southern Iraq to power the whole of Iraq for 6 months. 6 months. Burn it off. Gone. Because no one's willing to put the infrastructure in to pipe it out. And because the southern part, it's not deemed stable enough to do it. And southern Iraq is flipping more stable than north. They're burning it off, mate. And Basra, in the same part of the country, has power for 12 hours a day. Not even 24. It beggars belief. It beggars belief.
It beggars belief. Into corruption and mate, interesting.
Cornerstone of civilization, the birth of civilization. If you're a Christian, that's where. If you're a Christian and you believe in the Garden of Eden, southern Iraq, Garden of Eden is Lewis Kerner.
Hanging Gardens of Babylon there.
Babylon. Babylon.
That was fed by the Tigris, wasn't it? And all that area, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about it, but you look at Islam, the actual kind of infancies of it, and the science behind it, and how it flourished and progressed beyond anything the West had to offer. I'm on about hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Well, I'm sure that
unbelievable.
I think like the birth of mathematics and the first mathematicians, I might get this wrong, were Mesopotamia.
Yeah, Mesopotamia.
Iraq, yeah. Weren't they? I'm sure I read that somewhere. I don't know too much about the history of Islam. I don't.
No, but it was the science that came. It was unreal if you delve into it. Mm-hmm. I'm not clever enough, but unbelievable.
Where they are, there would be a point in time where they were that area. They were much further evolved than anywhere else in the world, really. And why by that area? I mean, this is based on man evolving. So Homo erectus before Homo sapien, Homo erectus in southern Africa, that's the birth of human civilization, right? And then Homo sapiens, and the way that we moved out into the world from there was up north, across Africa, and then into Asia, Middle East, into Europe. That's where it was there. Yeah. So those people there, that was right at the start of evolution. So they were there. They were, if it took 1,000 years for a tribe to settle else further on into the world, well, they were 1,000 years ahead, which would make sense that intellectually, if you like, they were further on.
It's interesting that people who are listening in, expecting a military thing. Now we're going to talk about Neanderthal man. Right?
You ever
the crossbreeding between Homo sapien and Neanderthal man?
Well, anyway, first genocide was us against Homo erectus. Mate, wipe them out. Fucking wipe them out. We've killed them. That's how we came to survive. Yeah. Like they know where the last group, well, based on science, that they don't think it's anything else. They know where the last group of Homo erectus were, and that's Homo erectus was you're probably still part of Homo erectus. Looking at it, was this
Neanderthal man with his brow?
Was Neanderthal man before us, right? And then Homo sapiens evolved, and we just wiped them out. Bye, gone. There's a brilliant series. You would love it. It's called Man's Incredible Journey or The Incredible Journey of Man. It's one of the other. I can't remember what it's called. BBC documentary. I think it's a 4-parter maybe. And this is where I got this information from. Hopefully it's Jen. It's
what a Channel 5 production was it?
It's a female paleontologist. Paleontologist? Yeah, paleontologist.
Yeah.
And she literally tracks, they know where it was, birth of man, Southern Africa. And she basically goes, well, what happened? Where do we go after that? And she looks at how, based on historical evidence, how human, right? I'm talking about people, men and women, but man, like man evolved throughout the world, and like China, why, like Siberia? Why did we stop in Siberia? It's mental. Who would want to live there? It's like, why did we stop here? And how are they still surviving? How do they? It's brilliant, like. And they go to China, right? And there's and it's like, why they look so different? You know, why you all blah blah blah. There's a growing group of scientists, I think growing to getting a bigger number, of paleontologists and scientists and whatever other ists there are, right, who have the belief that the Chinese, okay, I'm using that general area, China being the biggest part, okay, you've got Mongolia and all of that, but that area, okay, so Oriental, okay, if that's even allowed to be said anymore, I've said it, right, are a completely different species. They're not Homo sapien.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not Homo sapien. They're not Homo sapien. And it's based on the evolution of the cranium and the brain. And there's a difference. They say there's a difference. And on the program, Man's Incredible Journey, or I can't remember the name, she looks into it there. And there's a Chinese guy, and he's explaining it like this and this. Not even Homo sapiens. Explains a lot. Joking. Yeah, it's really interesting, mate. Really
I think I might have seen. That was where I got the information from about Neanderthal man breeding with.
They did, yeah.
And there's so much still in us because they could adapt. The ones that bred could adapt to the cold, and they literally passed their genes on to adapt that one.
Yeah. There's another thing from it. So all true Europeans, so that means like your ancestors all the way back were European. Yeah. So born in Europe. We can all be traced back. I'm going to say we. I'm assuming you are. Like, all be traced back to one woman. We all have the same ancestors, Europeans, and her name is Europa. The paleontologist named Europa. So when this is fact, we've all got a DNA. All true Europeans have got a DNA. All came from the same grandmother, right? When the tribes were moving through, that's what they were, tribes. There was a group that went off. What's that? What's the land? In Turkey, we got the land that joins, because Turkey's part of Asia and Europe, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that there was a small bit of landmass went across into Europe because it's essentially an island, right? A massive island, and it was one tribe that went across, one woman, and from that tribe, this one woman, everyone in Europe came from, as in down, ancestors all the way back.
Yeah.
She was the one person. So everyone goes back to one. Everyone's DNA goes back to her. One person. It wasn't like 4 or 5 of them. It was one. It's fucking awesome, mate.
I mean, that's quite specific, isn't it?
Well, when you look at that, it's like when you look at that, you can say that we all came from one person in South Africa. Everyone.
Well, there must have been the chicken and egg situation. There must have been at one point. Oh no, is they like?
No, it's not. We all came. They asked one woman who gave birth to someone else, or a bunch of them, and then it's bigger and bigger. We're all part of the same family tree. Black skin, fucking brown skin, or whatever skins you get. Yellow skin, let's say that. But
I did not think I was going to have this conversation today.
I didn't. I was walking back from the shop earlier and bumped the US outside. I was thinking, because racism pisses me off, right? And I was thinking, why? I was thinking, there's a. I'll go right at tangent. I was thinking, with the racism side of things, there is a problem in when you refer to someone of color, you'll say colored person or black person, right? Well, that inherently is, I am like, this is the way it is, okay? But that in itself, the way that's done, is wrong. In that it doesn't help. It flaws the whole project. Because look at this, right? Because what's black?
Yeah.
What is it? What's half caste? What is it? It's not. And I literally, this is on the 2-minute walk back up. I was thinking, well, it's completely wrong because you can't define black. At what point does black not become black? At what point? At what point does a Chinese person, as in that skin color, not become that Oriental Far Eastern looking? At what point? How do you define it? You fucking can't. And I was thinking the way to liken that is you look at white, okay, on Photoshop, yeah? You got your whole color spectrum. Look at white and black. From white, and you can shade it all the way through all the grayscales, all the way to black. Yeah. How would you pick each one of those out? If you're going to describe to someone part of it, you say like, which bit are you talking about? Like, see the slightly darker, the dark again. You don't say the black one. You know, it's like you don't say the white.
Well, it's
one.
that kind of thing where it does promote separation.
You never get rid of it.
You walk out. I walked out of the tube then, and which is miles away from here, by the way.
You go for White City, didn't you?
Yeah. And I don't give a shit, mate, about anyone around me. As in, like, as long as no one's having a negative impact or making someone else unhappy, don't care. And you can do whatever. Anyone can do whatever they want to do and be whoever they want to be. I think it's because I've lived in London for so long. It wasn't like that when I was in Hull. And just having a more well-rounded, just like, if everyone's happy, I'm cool with anyone. It's when people start impacting on happiness, and which includes things like separation and all this stuff.
But at the same, I agree with you. I'm totally on board, mate. Just fucking be nice, and I ain't gonna mess with you. You know what I mean? Not mess with you.
I'm not gonna
be nice. Yeah. I'm not gonna hold you in disregard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we inherently have discrimination built into us. Fact. You know, it's if you've got.
Oh, that's right. You look at the military, right? When you join, your section is the best section, and every other section is shit. Your troop is the best troop, and every other troop shit. Your cat badge is the best cat badge, and every other cat badge is shit. Right? That is built like, and there's a reason for it, right? And all the rest of it, and pride, and all the rest of it. But it's a very relevant way of looking at it. It's true, though, isn't it? But together, you're strong, and that's and together, no one messes with. Our section, no one messes with our troop, no one messes with our thing.
Yeah.
And that's a very loose term of hopefully saying what he was going to say. No, he wasn't going to say that, but no, about it's inbuilt.
Oh, discrimination.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It just it's how do you move? How the problem? Again, go back to the reason this interests me at the moment. It seems to me like the effort to move away from discrimination against people of darker skin is being hampered by the fact that it's gone too far it's almost gone full circle to be racist back the way. And I mean that there's a discrimination against people of lighter skin. Yeah. And the witch hunt. I'm going to step away from this.
Yeah, I think me being in London and seeing it, I just like literally.
No, we're different here. I'm talking about from a lot of the stuff
I know what you say. I understand what you're saying there, and it was actually it's when you start separating. That can create problems when you integrate.
I don't think we should even talk about it. I don't. No, I think right. No. I don't mean on you. Yeah, I don't think that. I think what doesn't help in the media again, and this is, can we talk about racism? We can talk about any kind of discrimination. Men, women, black, white, or light end of the scale, dark end of the scale.
Yeah.
Is that some things? If you flipping keep going on about it, as in. Keep presenting issues and non-issues for that sort of drama culture that the media will do, it exacerbates the problem. I think it's gone so far with the racism side of things, and I'm talking across the pond like US, because we take a lot of the places we go politically, culturally, we go in there, we follow what the US do. It's just the way it is. I think that if you just, how about not mention discrimination or racism? Make it a non-thing. It's a non-thing. Because it doesn't exist, it can't be pounced upon. If it doesn't exist, it can't be cherished by the groups that want it. Yeah? If you don't talk about the fucking neo-Nazis, guess what? No one's going to know about them, or much fewer people. If you don't talk about black power flipping extremists in
the thing is with it, it's, and I'm not an expert on it, but you look at it, if we don't talk about certain things, then we'll never learn from certain things. That's like fact, like history. We need to know things to make it happen. But it's the intricacies around it. It's that I am interested in different culture. Like I'm genuinely interested in it, and I think, and I love seeing and being part of something that's not the same to me, and I don't want to influence that in a negative way, And I think it's great that there's a real mix of heritage in places like London, and some of my friends are different, and my kids will go to school with different people. But you look at so there's 3 forms of human development. There's dependency, independency, and interdependency, right? So you look at a patrolling Afghan, right? You go on patrol in Afghan. Now, if you're dependent on someone, you're taking and you're not giving back. That's dependency. That's fact. So a child will be dependent on a mother. So you're on patrol in Afghanistan. If you had a lot of dependent people, it wouldn't work. So independence is really good, like where you can each one of you does a job. So you had a specific task in an 8-man section or whatever, and there was a medic, and there was the 19-year-old who carried the ammunition, whatever, right? Each person can do a job, but it's when you understand and appreciate that to become or to get the main objective, you have to be interdependent. So every single person has to contribute to create the end objective. That's interdependency. And we're in a society where we like to be independent and not interdependent. And you take it from a bare bones of patrol in Iraq or Afghanistan, where everyone understands and appreciates that they all have to contribute, then you can create something special. And you look at societies and cultures when everyone has to contribute and not just take and not do their own thing, then something really good happens. And that's regardless of colour or race or culture. If everyone contributes to the pot, big or small, no matter what it is, then something good can happen. I hopefully have kind of...
No, I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Or is it not that people aren't, a society is interdependent, but it's perceived as just dependency? Because in doing the daily jobs and going about the daily life, they are contributing, I suppose. But in a different way. You're talking financial. There's financial dependency, isn't there?
Yeah.
And then there's sort of cultural interdependency. It's interesting.
Well, you could take it from anything really. Like you look at like the big companies that don't pay their corporation tax.
Yeah.
They're very independent. They're just doing their own thing, and they don't give a shit about everyone else. They're just concerned about themselves, and you need to be able to contribute to the bigger pot to then create interdependency where everyone grows together, and not where some gain and some don't gain.
That's a failure of
Look at your pygmy analogy earlier on.
Say again.
When you talk about the pygmies,
yeah,
right? Everyone in that society will be contributing. One will be a hunter, one will be the cooks. The kids will be doing their bit, collecting water, because they know that they have to. That's how they survive. They're all contributing.
That's how we were once, right? Why did it not stay the same? It must get to a point where it gets too big and it doesn't work, or no, or no, yeah, or you get an element wants to control.
The culture changes because then we get told, don't we, that you have to get your own house, and then you have to put borders up, and you have to you have to just, that's what you get told to do again and again. And I look at business, so every team I've been involved with, from the military, the fire service, to playing rugby, they're all interdependent. Where you look at a really good rugby team, everyone in that knows exactly what they have to do. And they know when, if someone's injured, what then happens. that's interdependent. If you are independent rugby players, it wouldn't work, would it?
No, we can't work on such a big scale, can it? It's not that.
Break it into micros all the way around. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the way. That's the way.
Mm.
That's how culture can.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation.
What's the original question again?
No. I do. I mean, like, I'm just conscious. I'm just rolling into the next guest. Which is, so I mean, we're talking like government and
shit.
What?
Kick it on, innit?
Oh, it'll be all right. What are we on? Hour and a quarter. An hour and a quarter. Not a big sigh. I've been keeping you.
No, mate. I'm just like getting prepared for the next one now. I think I've learnt more today than I have in the last month.
Yeah, I had a Navy guy on, first Navy guy, and he was. I was like, you need to tell me about. I'm ex-reg, I'm ex-army. We don't care about anyone else. I'm infantry. We don't give a shit. I got a clue. I said, tell me about your training. He said, well. I said, tell me about your career. And he said, yeah. So I went to training in where was it? Not Woolwich, down south somewhere. And then I got to my ship. I was like, hang on a minute, you've just washed over your entire training. I've not got a clue, mate. Yeah. I don't know.
I listened to that. When he was going, we went to, and I was like, why is it called HMS then?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. That's what it means. Like if you were just a building on dry land.
Yeah.
What was it? Her Majesty's shore base or something like that.
Station. Was it not station? I don't know. That was the time. He's a good lad. He's a good lad.
Yeah.
But yeah, digressing. No, mate. I mean we could have a whole another like hour and a half on talking about society and where it could be. I before this podcast, I started another one, right? And no one knows about it. And they won't ever find it. It's gone. And it was called. I'm not going to give the name, but it was with my old man, right? It did like one episode. And it was all about if we were going to go and colonize a planet, how do we do it? Knowing what we know now, right? Knowing what we know now on...
Well, that was the premise of the full podcast. If you'd gone on to a 20 episodes.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. But listen, it was epic, right? It was good to be epic. So basically it was we're going to go and colonize Mars. Yeah, that's the plan. We're able to do it. Myself and my dad, we are two people who are part of the team that are going to go up there, right? But we're early at the start, okay? And we've got to decide. The first show is we've got to decide. It was.
I want you to run this.
No, mate,
it sounds great.
It was. I might have to might be a spin-off. It was really interesting. We have to decide if I'm having a spin-off. Based on what we know now. This is how it started before we even got right. It's like right, based on what we know now, who's going to go? Who should we select? Who's going to go? There's 50 people. Who's going to go? Why should we choose them? Who are we going to select? Right? We started the first show, right? And he went on and on talking, but we got nothing answered. Right? It all boiled back to. We came up with one answer, and it was a question in the show. The question was, it got quite not heated, but it's like when you get I don't know, your dad's like, my dad's an antagonizing, and he spent the first 10 minutes before we went live, right, just trying to wind me up because he wanted an argument. That's what he's like, and I kept it cool on there. But the question came down to at the end that we answered. The question came up: is it better? So you're going to send 50 people now. These are going to form this colony. They're responsible for setting it up, and they will. That's what the civilization will come from. Is it better to have 50 intellectuals, academics, so 50 people from like the top 1% of the world's of the world, right? Brains. Is it better to send 50 of those up there, right? With the kit they got to set up logistically, right? Or is it better to send 50 people from a cross section of society? That was the question. That we come out, and my opinion was, well, you send a cross section because you've got brainiacs and you've got people who know sort of every aspect of it, have an inkling. you know, they sort of, you got some people who are like grounded,
Yeah,
you've got logic, and you got other many who haven't. And we decided no in the end. No, you send 50 ninjas. You send 50, like you send 50, you know, brainiacs. You send 50, that was what we achieved in that first one at the end of it. I was like, fucking hell. And
it sounds, you know what it sounds like?
And
It
it was
sounds
like,
like a Ricky Gervais, Carl Pilkington podcast.
It was, yeah. But another one was one because he had like reams of notes beforehand, and it's like, how do you vote? Who's going to be a leader? And it's like, well, it came down. You don't need it. You don't need. Why do you need a leader? Why? They stay with a phone, with technology. Why can't it be like this? And we discussed it on there. Why can't it be like? Now imagine a society now.
A
right?
Senate.
Imagine society as we live now, right? Government doesn't exist, okay? The way decisions are made, so we have one person who's a spokesperson. They literally speak what the information is, right? So the way they interact with Trump. And Trump says, Mike, as the spokesperson for UK, we want you to join us in fighting in Syria. We want you to put 3 units on the ground, and we're gonna take over it. We're gonna take over it, keep the Russians out, we're gonna take over it. And you go, okay. And you get on to your phone or your app, and you put it out. You do a post that says, President Trump has asked that the UK join. You put details in there. Yeah. Everyone on the device in the UK, yeah. Everyone on the device, their phone stops working, comes on, and it bleeps. It bleeps until they've answered the question. Yes, we should, or no, we shouldn't. Everyone, mate. Everyone. You get 100% turnout. Yes or no. The question's answered straight away, right? There's no time for influence, corruption, Parliament. Oh God, I'm thinking of the next guest again now. Right? Or no chance for any of that. Right? Joe Bloggs, Mr. Corner Shop owner, yeah, get the text. I'm basing my decision on what I think how it affects me now, not what 6 months of the media is throwing down my throat. Should we go in? Oh, the children. What? No,
so your moral values, right?
You're going based on me. It's pure.
Boom.
It's pure. No. Moral value, does it affect me? No. Oh yes. Instant answer. All right, Trump. People said no. You know what I mean? I wanna. That's what it is. And everyone, it's pure, mate. Right? And another example. You, Joe Bloggs Corner Shop, you wanna have the road widened so more traffic can come down the road because it's too narrow, cars are parking. And you as Joe Public, you go in your app and go, I want, like, you know, the petition. I would like the road widened because this. That question goes into that, like, intelligent AI, right? Artificial intelligence or whatever, or algorithm. It, based on your question, yeah, the software decides who should have a say in that. So it's going to be everyone on the street. There's going to be all of the companies who transit that road and people who transit the road. So all of those people, their phone goes, blah. You know that corner shop on the thing. Wants to widen the road. Should it happen or should it not? And I think, well, hang on a minute. If he widens that road, that pavement's gonna be narrower. That means I can't get my mobility scooter down anymore. I'm fucking saying no. Then you get the shop next door going, well, he wants to make the road wider. That's fucking awesome. More people. Yes. Pure, straight away answer. You got like 2 minutes to answer. No chance for any ulterior motive. Done. Flipping, I was going to say Abdul then. Just going to say corner shop. No, it could be Joe. Joe on the corner shop says, guess his wide widened. His road widened. Bang.
Done.
Look how quick that is. Look how quick that is.
Have this conversation with the next guy.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Right.
Oh, what's talking about? We have got to wrap this up. We have got to wrap this up. Right, Declassified podcast.
Yeah.
How do you get hold of it? Right, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, all of that.
Yeah, it's on all Stitcher and all that.
Website?
Website, declassifiedpodcast.com.
Yeah.
At Declass Podcast on Insta, Twitter, and Facebook.
Yeah.
We've just done, so we're 11 episodes in, real mix. We just did 11 today. It was a summary of the first 10. We're going straight in to do like series 2, I suppose, and doing another 10 or 11. and we just hope it helps someone. You know what I mean? And what's happened is, so we didn't ask for anything. We've not gone out there and asked for money or nothing like that. We've got a really cool thing that's going to happen. We're going to create a wellness plan, and we're partnering with a company called Bespoke Digital, who are doing it all for free. HESCO have come on board and want to carry this on. It's all kind of values based as well. Like, do we believe in the same thing? Do we believe in getting these messages out there? And people like Walter Buzatier and all this kind of stuff, they're going to contribute to creating a wellness plan where yes or no answers, creates a document where it essentially gives you advice on improving well-being and health and stuff. Yeah,
I think it's awesome, mate. I think it's awesome. I really enjoy it, and what's one of the most important things to me is, like you're saying behind it, the honest intentions. And you say you're out to help people. Of course it does. Even if across your 11 episodes, right, only one person got benefit from it. Which obviously,
oh mate, we've had messages saying I was suicidal. I'm now not suicidal. I'm going for treatment.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's like Brian and that, they've had phone calls with people who have been like, I just want to end it. And it's like, just go and speak to someone. And then the next day they're in therapy. Amazing what a simple conversation can do. One leads to another, leads to something being implemented. And yeah, well, look, mate, thanks. Thank you.
Hang on. Combat Pest Control. Yeah. Where's that? CombatPestControl.com.
So around, CombatPestControl.com and HQ Combat on all the social medias. Guys, and we're doing some good stuff. Like, we're doing some good stuff. And if other veteran, I know you had Lee McFarland on, doing some great stuff with veteran employment and whatnot. And we're going to meet up next week or so and chat about some stuff.
Have you met him before?
No, just on kind of social media and stuff.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. CombatPestControl.com. Watch out. Look, if you're out there and you're thinking about starting a business, or you've got a business and then you want to impact the world in a positive way, all you've got to go and do is implement it. And don't let anyone say that you can't do something or you shouldn't do something. If you want to do something, you've got a vision to follow, and ours was really clear, you just got to go and do it. And good stuff happens.
Absolutely. Like codes. Good luck, buddy.
Thanks,
pleasure. So, mate, on the ball. I'm going to go for piss and do the intro and outro.
Okay, cool. How was it?
That's good, mate. Yeah. It's a force of nature.
Nice long podcast, that.
Say again?
Nice long podcast, that.
Yeah. How long was that?
Hour and 30 at the moment.
What was it?
So I'm not sure how long after I left you started.
Pretty much.
Yeah?
Yeah. 5 minutes, something like that. Is the next guest here?
Yeah. Not that I know of. There was no one waiting outside.
As well.
Right, let me get this intro and outro out the way.
Cool.
And then
And then we can...
It was 2 seconds. Oh, I sounded a bit echoey. I don't know what was going on.
Oh no, that would just be in a headphone, so it won't be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a nice,
Oh,
healthy
I
waves.
didn't end the live stream, did I?